All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the county board meeting to order. John, if you could call the roll, please.
Alpeter? Here. Atkins? Here. Connett? Here. Crawford? Here. Darcy? Here. Goddard? Here. Graff? Here. Hall? Here. Harris? Here. Howder? Here. Emmy? Here. Josting? Here. Longfellow? Here. Mennel? Here. Mingus? Here. Frail? Here. Rich Stinson? Here. Schneider? Here. Scortino? Here. Sen? Here. Chairman Zimmerman?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. We'll do business. If we could rise for the invocation and pledge. You know, to start, let's just take a minute to remember the parents and the children in Uvalde, Texas, and the pain that they're going through. Heavenly Father, we know that you're a great God and a sovereign God, even when we don't understand the evil that we see in our world sometimes. We just trust and hope in you. Thank you for this support and the fact that we can come together in a free country and debate these issues. Thank you for all the citizens that have come out again and just their willingness to express their views and make their case. Thank you for our employees. They make us all look good because they do their job with excellence. I want to lift up Christy Webb and just thank you for bringing her to us and just a great job that she's done these last few months. We just know that we're privileged to live in Tazewell County, and I pray that we can take this honor as members of this board to serve them in a way that honors you and honors them. You're a great God, we love you, and we may we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do also want to acknowledge my new left hand up here too. So all the tough questions you can direct to him, okay? So going to take things a little out of order tonight. Item 26, can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Schneider, second by Mingus. This is to bring Sierra Smith onto the board. All those in, or excuse me, sorry. Yes, Bill?
At this time, I would like to move to postpone the vote on this to next month's meeting. Second.
Any explanation or?
Yes, actually, and I'm making the motion to postpone rather than to table for two reasons. One, postponement is debatable, whereas tabling is not, and I favor allowing full discussion of this. Second, postponing, it gives it a date certain that we will have a vote on this appointment, and it will be next month on this motion. The reason that I'm moving to not have it this month, whether by postponement or tabling or whatever, is that I think that it is wrong for this board to interfere in the primary election. With regards to Member Schneider sitting here to my left, there actually was a potential issue. There were, at the point that his name was put forward, 8 candidates running in District 2. One of them withdrew prior to us voting on it, and so I was able to vote on that without it affecting the primary, and I'm glad I was able to vote for Max. Right now we have 8, and I am one of us running in District 3. This one affects me with Max's appointment, it didn't affect me. But the issue is still the same whether it affects me personally or not. The issue is whether or not this board, in our capacity as public servants, will take an action that might affect one of the individuals in the primary being able to claim incumbency. And as everyone knows in America, incumbency counts for a lot. I don't have any problem with Sierra. I just met her tonight. Seems like a perfectly fine young woman. I'd like to be able to vote yes or no without it affecting the primary. That is the sole reason for wanting to move this, is so that it's not going to affect the primary. Thank you.
All right, Mike?
And I have the opposite view. We have, in the past, the county has a procedure when we appoint any office, we get a recommendation, we appoint. It's a process that we've done for years. Now, there may be an advantage for incumbents, and we're going to get that advantage if there is on this next election. I think we should fill the seat, should fill any seat that comes to us. It's a process that we have, and we shouldn't make exceptions. So I am going to support the appointment and vote against the motion that Mr. Atkins put on the floor.
Mindy?
If we postpone this appointment, are we still within the parameters set by the statute regarding how long we had to fill that seat?
No, and that was a question I was going to ask for Mike. We have 60 days to fill it, and we passed the 60-day timeline.
Correct. So if it were postponed, it technically would, well, obviously would not be within that 60-day period that the statute requires for an appointment. Generally, our advice is always that an appointment be made within that 60-day period. But if it's not, it's still the duty of the county board to make that appointment. There isn't any sort of process under the law where it would roll over to a different entity or organization to make that appointment. It would still be a duty upon the county board, even if it's beyond that 60-day period. So to, I guess, adhere to the spirit of the statute, the intent of the statute is that the board not leave a position vacant, but there's reasonable and good faith effort to fill that position. So in this particular case, if it goes beyond the 60 days, it's technically beyond what the law requires. But if, like what Mr. Atkins is saying, if there's a date certain that there's a vote, that there's proceedings underway where the board is addressing the matter, recognizes the matter, and has an intent and a plan to fill that position and make an appointment, I think it's still within the spirit of the law.
Nick? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to preface my remarks by my vote tonight has nothing to do with the individual being proposed, and if it's a month from now, I would be voting in favor of this. But I, too, disagree with the board being involved in the political process. We need to let this play out as it should. A month from now, the day after the election, we can act on this resolution. No harm will come to anyone. Ms. Smith will still be on the board at that time. It's just a right thing to do, and I support Mr. Atkins' motion.
Any other questions on the motion, Russ?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it's good to see everybody again. It's nice to be back in Tazewell County. On this issue, I like Sierra. I've communicated with her several times because of her age and her newness to Tazewell County, and because of my age and my unnewness to Tazewell County. I've offered to be a historian and answer any questions she might have, and she said she's going to take me up on that. So I look forward, and I also think I look forward to her serving. I also think I was 24 when I went on this board. I wasn't like this, and I brought passion and energy, and I think Sierra will also. So I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that we have more women, and I think it's good that we have some young women. So I think all that's good. However, you know, with me, there's always got to be a however. I'm disappointed, that's the word I'll choose, in the process that was used to get to this point. I've been around a long time under a Republican and Democrat chairman. And what we've almost always done, not always, but most of the time, is when there's a vacancy, it doesn't matter whether the chairman's an R or a D, the chairman would reach out to the political party of the person who's vacating. In this case, it would be the Republican Party, because he was a Republican, I'm pointing to his seat. And then the Republican Party would get together with the committeemen in usually that district. In this case, it would be District 3. And then they would have a call for people, including a call from whoever Mr. Zimmerman wanted as chairman, if he so wanted to do that. Doesn't have to, but could. And then they would interview those people. They'd do the heavy lifting and make a recommendation. I'm going to add that this was just done very recently with a guy named William Atkins. We had an opening, and it went to the Central Committee, and we had the District 3 committeemen get together. A guy named Russ Crawford chaired that meeting. We went through 3 very capable people. One was a mayor, one was a longtime precinct committeeman, and the other one was Bill. And Bill came out heads and tails above everybody else in terms of the question, who would do the best job for Tazewell County? And that's why Bill's here today. So it's a very good process. It's worked for many years. And I was disappointed that we didn't go through that process with this. So back to the young lady, I'm a big fan. I'm going to be a fan. I'm going to help her all I can. But I do agree with Mr. Graff and Mr. Atkins' comments. Thank you.
So just in my own defense, this is the 14th appointment I've made, Russ.
I know.
And you voted for every one of them?
Yes, sir.
I don't remember hearing a disappointment on any of those, because I never consulted the party.
Yeah, you sort of have on Atkins.
Different circumstance. So, any other comments or questions? So here's one comment that I have. I think we should do this tonight. And I don't want to talk about names specifically, but what if the proposed candidate doesn't win in the primary? I don't know that that's the name I want to put forward then, because I'd like to get Sierra rolling right now to get started. I don't know that she's going to win, but so that's just one variable. But I mean, it's the wishes of the committee here. Are there any other questions on the deferral? Oh yeah, Monica.
To vote on the deferral, I, as yes, you wanted to defer or postpone the vote, or
I would like the deferral to go down, and no. But again, I mean,
thank you.
Whatever you guys.
I think she's asking procedurally what the
Okay, so procedurally, there's a motion to defer this until next month. If we vote yes, it'll go till next month. If we vote no, it'll just come back to the floor. We'll vote on it tonight. So, do I need to do a roll call? Okay, let's do a roll call.
Alpeter?
Yes.
Atkins?
Aye.
Conitt?
Aye.
Crawford?
Aye.
Darcy?
Yes.
Goddard?
Yes.
Graff?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Harris?
No.
Howder?
No.
Hovey? I'm sorry. That one is not Emig? Yes.
No.
Josting?
No.
Longfellow?
No.
Mennel?
No.
Mingus?
No.
Frail?
No.
Rich Stimson?
Yes.
Scortino?
No.
Sen?
No.
Schneider?
No.
Okay, the deferral vote went down. We're back to the original motion. All those in favor of Sierra coming on the board signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
You raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5.
Frank, Anthony. Who else? Connor? Connor? Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Sierra, you want to come on up and get sworn in?
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Sierra Smith,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of
to the office of
Tazewell County Board District 3,
Tazewell County Board District 3
in the county of Tazewell,
in the county of Tazewell,
in the state of Illinois,
in the state of Illinois,
aforesaid do solemnly swear
aforesaid do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Illinois,
of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Tazewell County Board District 3 to
Tazewell County Board District 3
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And I will give you a certified ID in the mail tomorrow. Your seat is right over there.
All right, welcome aboard, Sierra. All right, moving on. Any communications from members of the public or county employees?
Hi, my name's Bailey.
Yep. Yep. Can you come on up here, Bailey? That'd be great. You can sit right there. Bailey, if you could just tell me your name and
Yes. Hi, my name is Bailey Giambetti, and I'm here on behalf of the Downtown Pekin business owners to bring up some solutions to an age-old problem of a parking strain in downtown Pekin. There's some new businesses coming into the 400, 500, and 300 block, and it's creating some extra strain and some worrisome that there won't be enough public parking for those businesses to succeed. So we took a look at downtown overall parking in general and came up with some solutions that we thought were pretty feasible for working together with the county and the city to make possible. I just wanted to bring this to you guys tonight and make sure that you were aware of it. We have met with the property committee and also the city. Our big ask of the county is to dedicate the parking lot on 5th and Court. It'd be right next to the blue building, the ROE building. There's 47 spots there that we would like to see be made public parking 24/7 for consumers. The lot on Elizabeth in between 4th and 5th Street is a gravel lot that we would like to see paved so it can be fully utilized by county employees. And then there's a lot next to Cable Realty behind the shoe repair store on 5th Street there. That's 26 spots. Currently just one is rented all of the time. And so we'd either like that to be public parking 24/7 or give the option to downtown business owners to rent it from the county at a low cost to give them some space that they can get their cars off of the street. There's also some potential to have direct county courthouse visitors to park in the lot on Margaret Street behind the Fast Dragon there in that lower 300 block with some easily to do with signage. So we just wanted to introduce that idea to the county board. I know that they've been working with us on some other things, so just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware and we're here with any questions if you have them. Oh, I will say one more thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
We did do a little study of 2 weeks in downtown Pekin, 2 times a day. We came down and counted the used spaces by county employees, and we also did the public lots as well. And the county lots on the highest day, the highest traffic of each lot was about 156 used spaces out of 254 reserved spaces. So we have about 100 spots that aren't being utilized. So by doing these changes, you really do have adequate parking to reassign these to public and county employees. If you have any questions, I'm here.
All right, thank you, Bailey. We are looking at it at property. This is just public comment, so, yeah. So I'm just, she'll stick around. So we are looking at that. We are paving that lot, the gravel lot, just across from the McKenzie building. We just need to look into issues in terms of who's going to maintain these lots, any liability if somebody slips and falls. So we're looking at all possible options, and we want to work as closely as we can with the city of Pekin to make that happen. So, all right, thanks, Bailey. Any other communications from members of the public, county employees? Seeing none, communications. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, if you could come on up, please.
Come on up.
Just state your name and then.
My name's Amber Toll. It's nice to see most of you guys all again. I just want to take a moment of your time. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with who we are by now, but for the new people in the room, we are the United Citizens of Tazewell County. We are just a few of the members of the community that have worked together and are responsible for submitting an application for a text amendment to the Tazewell County Wind Ordinance. Linda here has a few handouts that we just wanted to share with you and hope you guys find helpful as we all work through this process. I also want to let you know that we'll be reaching out to each of you guys as board members. We'd like to engage in further discussion with you, and also would like the opportunity to share some of the research that we've done as we've worked through this. So we look forward to working with you guys throughout this whole process. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Last month they left a postcard with the web address, so if you get a chance, I'd encourage you to go to their website and take a look at that. All right, any other communications from members of the public? I'll look longer this time, okay? So, all right, seeing none. Communications from elected and appointed county officials. Max, you wanted to speak?
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so as you can see up on the screen there, I wanted to get you guys a Tazewell County Broadband Committee update now that we have our countywide survey done. Before I do that, I wanted to introduce Kathy Brown from the Greater Peoria EDC and Gracie Lucas as well. My friend Eric Stahl couldn't be here tonight, but without him, I think we wouldn't be as far as we are. So I'm going to run through this real quick. I'm not going to take a lot of time on it because a lot of it might be review, but I did want to reach some of the survey issues that we found. This kind of goes over the team again. I kind of already introduced everybody. The Greater Peoria EDC helped put this together. I'm really thankful for them because, like I said, I think you'll find the information really beneficial. The only thing I want to highlight from this slide here is that we have been meeting on a weekly basis, again, with the Greater Peoria EDC, ISPs, members of the public, to talk about this issue and to really vet where our pain points are in the county. Why do we need broadband? Again, I've talked about this before, whether it's telehealth or education, police and fire, remote work. These are issues that we already know of in the county and that definitely came out in our survey when we were able to comb through the results. I'm going to talk a little bit about speed. And so I wanted to give you guys just a basic idea of, if you're not familiar with what internet speeds can do what. The 25 megabits is the original FCC minimum broadband standard. That is a pretty slow speed. If you live in a municipality, you're probably getting between 50 and 400, and maybe some of you have access to 1,000 megabit speed, which is what we consider gig speed. That's the most effective and efficient for the modern household today. So we'll kind of start with our countywide broadband results, but I've given this talk once, and I'm going to give it a couple more times. I love to start with this map, and I took a little bit of artistic liberty with this map from the Illinois Office of Broadband. But if you were to put broadband infrastructure in today, the federal and state government would require that you would have at least that infrastructure be able to handle 100 megabit speed. This is the current map of who has 100 megabit speed in Tazewell County. And I think if I gave you this map, you couldn't get around very well. And so I think what's more powerful is that most of the county doesn't even have 25 megabit speed, let alone 100. And the county is considered completely underserved by state and federal guidelines. Back to the survey, 83% of Tazewell survey speed respondents are defined as underserved. So what we're seeing in the map matches up to what people are saying. You were able to speed test your internet while you were doing the actual survey, and we went ahead and asked them a little bit more, even further, about their speed. And 58% of the people who responded are completely unserved. Again, less than 25 megabits download speed. You're not working from home, you're not streaming, you're not doing telemedicine with speeds that slow. A couple other data points for everybody. Again, this is from all over the county. We had over 900 responses from all over the county, people in the municipalities, people out in the country. I think some of these statistics are really telling. Most people are dissatisfied with their affordability, the speed, the availability. A lot of people are using cellular data, which is not considered adequate access to broadband by the federal government, and most people have many devices. I'm not going to read all of the survey comments, but the one thing I want to highlight here is that people are, and we saw this a lot in the surveys, people are having to leave their homes to go get quality access to internet, whether that's to go to work, whether that's to take their children to a coffee shop or to a school. This was during the pandemic, to get internet connection so that they could be in school. And I gave this talk at the Pekin Rotary Club, and I asked a couple people in the audience, because I knew what they did for a living. I asked the superintendent of the schools in Pekin, I said, you're going to stop doing e-learning? Well, of course not. And I asked a banker, are you going to stop doing online banking? Well, of course not. So some of these things that we experienced during the pandemic are here to stay, and some of that showed up here in the survey. Back to the committee itself, I'm just going to list some of the people that we have been meeting with. Again, I think that this shows the effort that we've put forward to really also meet with these ISP servers and get an idea of where they think they can expand, whether that be just on their own or with federal dollars. Most of the people, I think 80% of the people who we surveyed wanted this information to go to the ISPs so that we could meet with them and get an idea of where we can go from here. And so that kind of leads me to the end of the topic. There's a couple things I think a couple ways we can go from here. I think we're planning to host a local government summit in Tazewell County, which is going to engage government officials and these ISPs, bring them around a round table, and figure out how we can expand this access to infrastructure. And then there are a couple action items that we've been seeing in other counties. These are things that are being done around us. I think that most counties around us see this as a really critical part of their infrastructure, and they want to see it moving forward. The one I want to point out is letter B, which is a feasibility study. Whether or not we use, ARPA dollars or whatever to expand broadband access now, whether we do that now, the federal and state money is going to keep coming. There's about $1 billion grant that's coming out strictly in Illinois that's going to be only for broadband. And so I want to make sure that the county is positioned and ready to apply for those grants, get those grants, and then use them to expand this access. And I'll go back to those maps. We have a real opportunity, I think, over the next 12 to 36 months to put this infrastructure in and keep the county competitive for businesses, for schools, for residents, and I hope we can continue to do that. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have. Hopefully I didn't go too long.
Any questions for Max? It's very complex and expensive.
Yes.
And I appreciate you taking the reins on this, Max.
Right.
So,
Right. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For any other communications from electeds, board officials? Seeing none, moving on, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the April 27th meeting? Motion by Hall, second by Mingus. Any questions, deletions, corrections? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes pass. We have a couple of in-place meetings. The first one is transportation. Chairman Mennel.
Yes, call the transportation meeting to order. I have roll call, please.
Chairman Mennel.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Connick. Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Goddard.
Here.
Mingus.
Here.
Frail.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Form.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to get T 22-37 on the floor?
So moved.
Second. And Russ, second. Thank you. We have bid letting on May 17th for the county maintenance and townships in Tazewell County for their road maintenance projects. And they came in well over budget. We had one bidder, and they were, I'm kind of rounding numbers, but somewhere from 10 to 40% over the county engineer's estimates. There's a few things going on here. One, there's more work than contractors can do, so that limits the bidders. That's one thing. We have the volatility in oil, which affects fuel for doing the project, plus one of the major components of seal coat and asphalt is oil. So it's so volatile that, and what happens in a normal situation is the county engineer or his staff will submit an estimate to the county board what these projects will cost, and that happens in February. And they're not allowed to change that estimate in this where we're at today. So move forward 3 months or 2 months, 3 months, and things have changed dramatically. So this resolution is to approve the bids for these projects. This is motor fuel tax money that comes from the state into the county. The county administrates the money, and we have to appropriate it, even though it doesn't necessarily come out of the county budget. So some of the factors and the reason why there's such a range of overage is mobilization. Some of these smaller projects, they do, townships can't do, some of these townships can't do long, 2 miles, so they do maybe a half a mile here, quarter mile here. Well, the contractor's got to pick up his equipment and move, and so that's part of the reason why. And then the size of the projects, obviously, the larger the project, the better they can do. So anyway, I open it up for any discussion from the Transportation Committee. Yes, Dave.
Has there been any response from townships that come forward?
Yes, I failed to say that all the townships want to move forward with this, and the county also. They have the highway department has reached out to IDOT. They've given their blessing to go ahead. If we put it off, chances are that we're going to be seeing an increase if we go back out for bids. And so, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Greg.
So how much more motor fuel tax is this than was budgeted?
I don't know. 300,000 for the county work. That
So, I guess, I know what you guys put in, because I know the state bonds, just back off $300,000. Is that possible?
Yeah, we discussed that, but we're just kicking the can down the road, really. We don't.
I disagree, but I mean, there's an infinite amount, and I realize there's an infinite amount of stuff to be done, but at the same time, this may not be the time to do it if prices are so high, because we're only using 1.8 million for so many years. Now we're at the 5 million plus, and I knew the budget was, roughly that too. So what you use this year, you can't use next year either. Now, you may be right to the point where it could be higher next year and it can be less. That's possible too. But I think with the prices, maybe this isn't the time, and maybe we can save for next time. Because motor fuel tax, you're right, you're managing money. It isn't going anywhere. If you don't spend it, you got it next year.
Just to answer or comment on that, if we don't do the whole contract, the contractor can come back and say, we won't do it for that. We don't know that. I'm not saying they would, but there is the possibility that they would honor that price, because if they're doing less, then the cost might go up. And I'm not saying one way or the other, but it's possible. Mike?
I don't oppose this. I just have a question on the financing. You're saying it's come out of the motor fuel tax. Are we borrowing from the future, the 300,000 for next year's motor fuel to do this?
Well, in effect, I guess we are, because that money won't be available. Okay. I mean, we get funds coming in every month of the year, and that builds up over the year, and then when it's spent. So if we spend down our account more, then we'll have less next year. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
This is for the Transportation Committee only for this. But I'll oppose, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. We're in recess.
Just real quick, while you're not quite in recess, transportation, for those who drive in on Broadway, you see the road closed sign. And I talked to Dan tonight, starting 6/6, and it's going to be closed the entire construction season. So it'll look great once it's done, but you may have to find a new route to get into Pekin, okay? Thanks, Greg. We have an in-place executive committee meeting also. Sue, if you could call the roll.
Chairman Zimmerman.
Here.
Harris. Here. Atkins.
Here.
Sonnet. Here. Darcy. Here. Graff.
Here.
Dimick.
Here.
Josie.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Ennell.
Here.
Trail. Here. Sin.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, item A has been pulled. This has been quite a process, but the bidder that we had pulled out at the last minute because he couldn't get the prices that he thought. So we're going to try to take one more stab at this, but we may be too late. So can I get a motion for E2250, the appointment of the superintendent? Motion by Conant, second by Joesting. Greg, do you want to explain a little bit of this?
Yes. Thank you. We've had, this has been a process. You probably remember we appointed Dan Parr as interim superintendent of highways some time back. I think it was in February. And we've been waiting for from IDOT to go ahead and appoint him as superintendent of highways. And we So we've been talking about, in transportation, about the recommendation, it goes directly to exec, the transportation committee just recommends, and we came up with, when we advertised for the position, we advertised, I believe it was $125,900 a year for salary, and Dan was making quite a bit less than that, and as assistant county engineer, and there was in effect a 5% raise that he would have gotten had he stayed in his own position, which he doesn't qualify for. So we took that into consideration. The other thing is he was receiving a $3,500 a year stipend for surveying, and so what we did in effect is we discussed this and came up with well, the other thing that happened is IDOT came out with a minimum recommendation for the county engineer's salary. It is $129,800 for this year. So we went to 130, added the $3,500 stipend. We eliminated the stipend, but we rolled that into the salary. It's simpler, makes it cleaner, and I just want to make a couple comments about the stipend for survey. Dan has had this for quite a few years, and it's benefited the county tremendously. We don't have to go out to an outside contractor to get surveys done, and it's just paid off a lot on the Broadway project that the chairman just talked about. Ameren came in and they were part of the project was widening the right of way. Dan worked to acquire more right of way for the project, and so Ameren had to move their utility poles out of the clear zone. The clear zone is the area between the pavement and and where there's an obstacle that would, cause more injury in the event of an accident. So they came back and said they wanted to charge us for moving each pole. Well, with Dan's expertise in survey and also his expertise in right of way that he's acquired over the years, they went up against Ameren, and Ameren backed off, and I don't know how many $100,000. They said the estimate would be $5,000 utility pole to if they were going to come and charge us. So we don't know what that number would have been, but there's a couple examples. There's another one that is a project that's in process that he's looking at ways to reduce the cost, and he has done a tremendous job. Before he was appointed interim, and he continues to do it. I'm in contact with him a lot, and he's really doing great. So I strongly recommend his approval for this.
Any questions on this contract? Russ?
All I wanted to add, you did a great job, Chairman Mennel, but the committee agreed unanimously to that right now.
Okay, great. All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes out of executive. Dan, thank you for everything you're doing. I mean that. We are in recess from executive committee. We're going to take in place risk at the end of the meeting because there will be no action and we'll need to go into executive session for that. So we're going to wait till the end. All right, down to the consent agenda. Item 23 will automatically be pulled, as will item 30. Anything else to be pulled? Can I get a motion on the remainder? Motion by Graff. Can I get a second? Second by Longfellow. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Can I get a motion for the appointments A through I? Motion by Prail, second by Rich Stimson.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Abstain on. Yeah.
Okay. Item F, member Emig will abstain. All those in favor of the remainder signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, back to the items that were pulled. Item 23, can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Goddard, second by Darcy. This just came out on the bidding process. Any more questions for that? Greg?
I think Mr. Harris summarized it pretty good. You use it now, you won't have it later. Just cut back. You don't know what the price will be until you say no. And I think things would be, you just made time to say no when the price is this high, so I'll be voting no on this.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
So noted. Motion passes. Item 30, the superintendent's salary. Motion by Meadow. And a second by Schneider. Any other questions on this? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Before we go into in-place risk, is there any unfinished business? Yes. Yes.
Have we voted on both the consent agenda and the appointments?
Yes.
I heard motion and second for one of them, but not for both of them.
For consent agenda, motion was by Graff, second by Longfellow, all voted yes. For the appointments, motion by Frail, second by Rich Simpson, with Emig abstaining on item F, all the rest voting aye.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Any new business? Okay, the bills have been sent out. Hopefully we've had a chance to look at those. Can I get a motion on the June calendar? Motion by Josting, and second by Atkins. Any changes? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Just a quick couple of announcements. I sent an email out, or it came from Sue, on that High Performance Leadership Academy. If you're interested, please let me know. It does require some time, but UCCI will pay the tuition. Yeah, Greg?
Yeah, the special ZBA meetings that should they be on the calendar also, as far as for wind turbines or something like that? I don't see those on the calendar.
So, yes, that's a great idea. So there's 3 meetings, I believe, scheduled if needed, and I'm not sure what the dates are. June 8th, 9th, and 15th. And these are for ordinance changes, correct?
Correct, exactly.
Okay. 5:30?
Yes, where?
And here.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg, for bringing that. Secondly, I did send out an email regarding our meeting on Saturday the 4th. I know not everyone can make it. It's going to be 8:30, and we'll bring donuts and coffee to entice people, but we just want to talk about where we're headed with the downtown campus. If you can't make it, or if you have questions that may require a little research in advance, can you please just let me know, and then we'll communicate those things. And then lastly, before we go into executive session, again, I said it in my prayer, but I just really want to acknowledge Christy Webb. And I tell you what, we just couldn't have done it without you these last 4 or 5 months. And just do an awesome job. I called IMRF today and they're waiving your 600-hour requirement or something. Just go with that, okay? All right. Okay, we are gonna have an in-place risk management meeting. Sue, if you could call the roll, please.
Kevin Zimmerman.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Atkins.
Here.
Conant. Here. Darcy. Here. Graff.
Here.
Emmett.
Here.
Drosky.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Trail.
Here.
Sid.
Here.
Auditor Grimm. State's Attorney Representative.
Present.
Treasurer Burris. Here. Quorum.
We have a quorum. We are going to go into executive session. There will be no action after this. Once we're done, we'll be done. So you're more than welcome to come back in afterwards, but all we're going to do is say is we're in recess. So can I get a motion to go into executive session citing 5 ILCS 122C11? Motion by Smith. Second by Atkins. You know what? You're leading her down the wrong road. She's not on. You're not on the list. Motion by Atkins, second by Darcy. All those in favor of going into executive session signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Cameras off.